Hey, it's Scott Penfold, and thanks for tuning in to yet another edition of the Loaded Radio podcast. We took a bit of a week off there and back with another special one, a special edition, if you would, as I spend the next 30 minutes, the full podcast, with Skid Row guitarist Dave Snake Sabo. Because you know what, honestly, I just got so much I got to ask this guy that I needed the full half hour. All right. Now, the word is Skid Row going to be releasing a new album in the fall of this year, and we're going to be getting some new music from those guys at some point this month even. So we'll be definitely discussing that with Snake. Also, just stuff when it comes to past members of the band and current members of the band, and tons of stories, which I'm sure the guy has. I mean, he's Snake Sabo from Skid Row. Now, as always, this podcast is brought to you by loadedradio.com. Check it out for yourself, and also the Loaded Radio app, yours to download for free. Get it wherever you get your apps, or at loadedradio.com to get all the podcasts, all the hard rock and metal news, and even the 24-hour radio station right to your device, all for free. All right, but I'm not going to waste some more time, man. I'm going to get right down to it and start talking to this guy here. He is the guitarist for Skid Row, man, from the beginning, the original guitarist, founding member of the band. Him and Rachel Bolan made it happen. We've had a few lead singers, with ZP Theart, currently their lead singer, formerly of Dragon Force. And as well, they're going to be opening up for Scorpions during their Las Vegas residency, which is kicking off in the days ahead. So much to talk about. Dave, great to talk to you, man. How are things?
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Great, man. How are things with you?
Everything's going really well, man. Very busy, which is very good.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm really hyped to actually catch you guys in Vegas. It's going to be really, really great.
I'm looking forward to it. It's really weird. I kind of got a little bit of butterflies going on, to be honest with you.
Have you really? Do you still get butterflies?
I do, man. It's really weird. I you know what? In some sort of form or another, I pretty much do at every show. But over the years, I've figured out how to kind of get my mind in a space where it's motivational, and so that's kind of what's going on now with this. It's, you know, we haven't seen those guys in so long, and we always got along really well with them. Yeah, and we have just the utmost respect for those guys. They're one of the best live bands I've ever seen, and so to be able to have the privilege of being on the same stage, opening up for them is really one of those things that a gift that you get in life that you go, wow, man, like this business still can be magical, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, I was going to ask, like obviously Queensryche pulled out to go into the thing with Priest, but how did you guys get the gig actually? And I mean, and who brought the news to you?
One of the guys at our management company was doing marketing with the Scorpions and was aware that Queensryche had pulled out. So as soon as they pulled out, he got in touch with the Scorpions agent, and it was pretty much done in a matter of 2 days.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's not, you know what? We're not difficult. We're real easy, and we're very self-sufficient. And obviously, you know, we've been around for a long time, so everybody's really, really professional, and we run a pretty tight ship. And so, you know, when we work with people, it's usually just a really smooth and easy affair.
There's one thing I wanted to ask you about. I know that recently you said that the 6th studio album is expected to be dropping at some point. Looks like in the fall, you were saying September 16th. And
yeah, in and around that area, yes.
Awesome, man. Now, is there a new single that's going to be dropping this month?
There will be. There will be. That's all the details I have right now that I can convey. But we're excited about it. Obviously, you know, it's a first record in a record that's been taking a while to do. But the prospect of working with a guy like Nick Raskulinecz was just something that, once again, you know, you go along this business, and all of a sudden it gives you a gift, and that gift was Nick, and Nick is someone that we had high regard for before we even met him. And his resume speaks for itself.
Sure does.
I just never realized how talented of a musician he is, a producer, a songwriter, an engineer. It's just, he's proficient in so many areas. And, it's not like he's a jack of all trades, master of none. He's like a jack of all trades and master of all. It's pretty wild. And being in a room with a guy like that, he's constantly challenging you, but not in an abrasive, condescending way at all. More like in a very encouraging way, like, come on, dude, you got this. Like, let's go further. I know you got more in you. And it's like, you find yourself going, you know what? Yeah, I do. And we do. And we want to collectively push as far as we can go to make the song and the performance something that he goes, yeah, that's it. Like, you want to please the guy, and being at this stage of our lives and our careers, it's really rare that you get to meet up with somebody like that, who has such a positive influence on you and really shows you, helps you to see who you are at your core. And that worked for us as individuals as well as collectively. And, sitting in a room, everybody jamming together, and having him like walking around a room, listening to everything that we're doing, and then throwing out ideas and trying ideas, and that just spurs creativity. It's infectious, and all of a sudden everybody's coming up like, well, why don't we try this? And everyone's involved in the process, and it's so creatively satisfying when you're all building towards something that's, greater than the sum of the parts, if you will. And it's and then to hear that come to fruition in the recording of it, and it just, everything sounds so good and so fresh to me. And everybody says that about their records, so no one's going to sit there and go, "Wow, we just made a shitty record." You know what I mean? Yeah. But look, for me, this process was so valuable to me as a creative musician, as a songwriter, as a guitar player, as a person in a band. It was tremendously, like I said, challenging, but really, really satisfying in so many ways. And to have a growth spurt in the 6th year of your band, right, is pretty amazing. Usually all the growth is gone by then, right? And so this was a well-needed and well-timed collaboration.
I think it's so cool that you're working with Nick. I mean, I love what he's done with Rush, Deftones. I mean, Foos. I can't wait to hear what he's done with Skid Row, man. That's going to be awesome, dude.
It really is cool, man, because he, one of the things I love about Nick is that when you see his name as a producer, an engineer, and a songwriter and stuff like that, it doesn't sound like a Nick Raskulinecz record. It sounds like a Rush record or a Stone Sour record or an Alice in Chains record or a Skid Row record. Right. Like he would sit there and remind us, like, that's cool, but it's not Skid Row. How about you do like this riff like you did after the first chorus in Big Guns, like something like that, and you're like, wow, like I gotta go figure what I did there.
How was ZP in the studio?
It's been great. He's been Nick has been such a positive influence on him. So great. So it's been an experience where, we had never worked with him before. And so you're seeing all this different stuff come out that you didn't know existed. So it's that the aspect of being challenged.
I think ZP sounds fantastic fronting you guys. What exactly went down with Tony Harnell?
Man, nothing much.
None.
I mean, he was with us for maybe 10 months, and it was one of those things where we had been friendly with them for a long time. We hung out with them once in a while and got along really well. And once we got a band situation, we found out that we were just cut from different cloths, all of us. And he just worked in a different way than we worked. And so it didn't work out for him the way that we work. And we're not going to, we've worked a certain way for 6 years, 35 years, whatever it is, 36. And that's not going to change, because it's one of the reasons why we're still around. Not that we're not open to new ideas. That's certainly not the case, but we have a way of running our business that has boded very well. And so if someone's coming into our situation, that's just what it is. They're coming into our situation, and hopefully they can become a part of that. And it didn't work out where he was able to get in with the way that we go about things.
Do you guys still remain close though? Is that still a relationship there?
There's not really, I'll be honest with you. There's not really a relationship. I had read a couple things that he had said months after we parted ways, and he said, he had apologized, and he said he was very unprofessional in the way he left the band, which he was. Right. And that drinking had something to do with it, which I couldn't tell you. I wasn't privy to being on that end of things. Right. But yeah, the way it went down was really, it sucked the way it went down. Like, I had to find out on Facebook, I had to find out from people that were, texting me, like, what's going on with Harnell? I'm like, I don't know. And, there was some untruths and stuff like that. And so the way that it went down is not, I don't think it's really conducive to us, walking down the aisle hand in hand together.
Gotcha. No, I understand. Well, I mean, and even looking at that, like the late Johnny Salinger, he spent a lot of time with you. I loved Johnny as a singer. I thought he was great. What went down with him?
Well, Johnny was a kind soul, man, and he did not deserve to be taken from this life so soon. He absolutely did not. I think that we got to the point with each other where we had just reached the end of the road, and the road there was a fork in the road, and he was going down one path and we were going down another, to be quite honest. There was no animosity at all. None of us had any ill will towards Johnny at all. Right. There was no unkind words. It just was a case where you just get that feeling that it worked for a while and it just doesn't work anymore, if that makes any sense.
Of course, absolutely.
And it's just, I think it's like anybody in any, like a band is work. I mean, it's what we love to do. I don't call it a job, but it is work.
Yep.
And relationships are work. You got to work at it to make them work. And so we did that for an awfully long time. And then it just stopped. It slowly stopped working until we finally realized that for everybody's best interest, it was best to part ways.
Gotcha.
But I feel terrible of what happened to him. And, he left behind 3 beautiful children and, people who loved him and
a great body of work too. I think he's a great voice on him, man. Just a fantastic vocalist.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that people remember that about him, that he was a really good singer, and he put his voice on some cool stuff. And hopefully he left a legacy that people can fondly look back at and be proud of what he accomplished. I mean, he was, I won't say, I couldn't say anything bad about Johnny because there's nothing bad to say about the guy. He was a good soul, man. And he had a good heart. No malice within him and no ill will within him. And it just sucks because he's one of the good ones.
Absolutely, he was, man. Is it got to the point now where you've just gotten sick and tired of people asking you about a reunion with Sebastian of any sort, or are you getting sick of the money offers, or like, how do you feel about it at this point?
Well, it's been 23 years, so to say that I'm over it would be an understatement. I mean, the point. I mean, you know what, we attempted it slightly.
I heard, like, what happened there?
Well, we dipped our toes in the water and realized that it didn't feel so good. So, we just one of those things where we still could not see eye to eye. We couldn't even get past the point of simple texting. So, yeah, it just I am really, really happy where we are. Like I'm very proud of our past, and all due credit to everybody who's been involved in every aspect of our career, whomever that may be, because it all led to where we are now. And I've been asked 1,000 times, what about the payday? And that's all well and good. But if that's why I did this, if that's why we did this, I said I could speak for everybody.
Yeah,
we probably wouldn't be doing it. I want to be happy, and I am very, very happy. And so are the guys. Everybody's really happy. And yeah, man, you know what? The music climate is what it is, and we're a classic rock band, and I'm proud of that. Mm-hmm. It means that we've been, we're still able to make music. I mean, geez, I live a very, very blessed life, man. Like I have nothing but gratitude and humility for what we have achieved and for what we're able to continue to do. And so, while there may be people out there who are flashing, dollar signs with a lot of zeros, I still have to be happy doing it. And I am, and that's what's most important. I need to be happy being in a band with the people I'm in a band with. And a lot of other bands can go out and, they don't see each other till they're on stage and travel in separate buses and all that stuff. And that's all well and good. But I don't want to live my life like that. I don't want to be up on stage and be kind of living a lie. It just doesn't feel good. And so, while I'm thankful for people's interest and whatnot, I'm even more thankful that we still get to play music for a living under our terms.
Absolutely, man. And you're still bringing it too, which is fantastic. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame may come calling. If that does happen, given that this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, would you perform with Sebastian again?
Man, I haven't even given that any thought. Like,
it's a possibility, honest, Dave.
I don't know. I mean, there's so many bands that are so much more deserving. So I honestly, it's not even a thought. It would be disingenuous for me to sit there and say that I've given it a thought, because I certainly have not. Because I honestly, I don't believe that it's in our future. If it happens, then we'll figure it out then. But I kind of get up every day with the idea of living in this moment. And I know that sounds, whatever, cliche and, all hippie-ish or whatever, but the truth, that's really the truth. And some days I succeed and some days I don't, but I really want to live like for now. Like right now we're in the midst of finishing up this record and we're getting to the finish line. And it's all so exciting. And the idea of going out and doing these shows with the Scorpions.
Yeah.
And touring in support of this new record. And, we have dates throughout the rest of the year into next year around the world. And it's so exciting, man. And so I honestly don't think about those other things, because this is too important. I need to be in this, man. I need to be, in this record and with my brothers and we all are. We're all, standing strong and side by side. And so that's what matters, that being the best guitar player and songwriter I could be, being the best band member I could be, being the best friend I could be, being the best husband I could be, and the best father to my kids. Like, those are the important things. Everything else is just back, chatter.
And just looking at some of even the history, I mean, just some of the bands that you've even brought out, like you guys brought Pantera out back in the day. Like, do you have any memories of that?
I have so many memories, and I'm proud to say that Rex and Philip are still dear friends of mine. And nice. I still work with Philip with the band Down.
Oh yeah.
I manage them and have since, 16 years now.
I love Down. By the way, Down's one of my most favorite bands of all time, dudes. I think it's so cool. Love
and it was my relationship with Philip and Rex, how I got involved. Just friends looking out for friends. Like one of the things I could say is that through the whole time that I've been in the music business, been playing music and touring and recording and all that stuff, I learned a lot about the business. I made sure I paid attention. I had great mentors. Doc and Scott McGee are amazing mentors. Jon Bon Jovi, amazing mentor. Mm-hmm. Becoming friends with other people and other bands that really, really were great in teaching me. Guys like Nikki Sixx and the Aerosmith guys, people that we toured with that really took us under their wing and offered us insight into a business that we were babies, we were children, and so I am able to take that, and I love learning about the business. I love how it changes and different avenues that you could go down with your music. And I don't lament the past. I use the past as an educational tool, and hopefully my job when I work with bands like Down and guys like Philip and Rex, my job is to make sure that they're on the best road possible, and they're not going to get hurt, and they're not going to get damaged, and they're not going to get screwed, and they're not going to get ripped off, and they're going to have fun, and they're going to enjoy what it's the process of being in the band and being with their buddies on stage and making music. It's a hugely important part of all their lives. And I'm very respectful and mindful of all of that. So when I'm managing the band, all those things are going on in my mind to make sure that when they go out on that stage or they go in a recording studio, that they don't have to worry about anything else. Like that, let's just go make music, guys. I'll make sure you guys don't get screwed.
Just even some of like the nuggets of history. Is it true that John Corabi actually auditioned for Skid Row at one point?
No, we asked him to, and he blew us off.
Oh, you're kidding? Really?
Yeah. We've been friends for so long, but yeah, when I first met John when he was living in Philadelphia, and we had tried, or we had attempted to work together when he was still living in Philadelphia, but he had his mindset on going to LA, and I had no interest in it. So we didn't work together. And then when we were putting Skid Row together, we put the feelers out, and I remember John because we were friendly and stuff. And, he was with the Scream, I believe, at that point.
That's right. Yeah.
And we had said, this is what we're doing. You want to take a crack at it? And it's like, I'm okay.
What about Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys? Was he considered at one point?
Was he considered? I know that we were and are a fan of his for sure, but I don't recall him being I don't recall us reaching out to anybody close to him.
Do you still maintain a friendship with Jon Bon Jovi?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are still tight?
Oh my God. We text each other like 2-3 times a week. Oh my God. Yeah. And all we do is just, we rag on each other. It's great.
Now, why did you leave Bon Jovi back in '83?
Oh, well, okay. So it was never it wasn't like I was in the band. John, the way it went down quickly was just John had won a radio station contest with the song Runaway. Yeah. And part of that, winning that, was going out and doing radio shows in the tri-state area for the radio station. Mm-hmm. And so he had to do 7 or 8 shows, and he didn't have a band. Runaway was done all by studio musicians. And so he had to put a band together. He's like, hey man, can you help me, put a band together? I mean, we've known each other since, I was 10, 11 years old. So I'm like, yeah, of course. So he had known David Bryan from a band that he played with David in high school. And I knew Alec John Such from playing in the clubs in New Jersey. He was in a hard rock band called Phantom's Opera, and they were great. And he had like this really killer image. And he was a nice guy. I got along well with him.
Yeah.
So I said to Alec, I was like, man, I'm doing this thing with this guy, Jon Bon Jovi. Won this contest, gave him the whole thing. He's like, cool. So Alec was like, well, you guys got a drummer? We're like, no, not yet. He goes, well, I know this guy, Tico Torres, who plays with Frankie and the Knockouts. All of a sudden we had a band, and there was no promises or anything like that. To be quite honest, I loved playing because it's my best bud.
Yeah.
But I was a little out of my element because I was more the Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, new wave of British heavy metal guy, and wanting to be Van Halen or Randy Rhoads or Michael Schenker. And that was my wheelhouse. But doing this stuff was so much fun because, like I said, we had a blast on stage together. But it was never like that I was, a part of a band. We were just, I was a part of a band, but it wasn't like, okay, now we're going to get a record deal. It wasn't anything like
right.
that. And so Richie was really good friends with Alec and friends with me as well. I knew Richie and phenomenal. And so Alec introduced Richie to John. They started talking, and I guess they started writing together, and it made sense. Like when John said to me, I'm gonna hire Richie to play guitar, I was like, great choice. Because Richie's has the most incredible singing voice, and John needed his Jimmy Page for his Robert Plant. He needed his Joe Perry. And that's exactly the he needed his Keith Richards, and that's exactly the pairing. It was magic. And even I couldn't deny it. Even if my ego would have gotten in the way, which it didn't.
Right.
But I never left. And it wasn't, like I said, it was never like, okay, we've got a band and, we're all in this together. It wasn't like that. I think that came after because Richie was really the missing piece.
Well, Snake, you know what? I can't thank you enough. You know what? Before I let you go, though, I've heard many, 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 many stories. Can you just confirm, where does the snake come from, the name?
John gave it to me.
Oh, did he?
When we were kids, we'd be outside in the summertime playing basketball or wiffle ball or whatever, softball, whatever, baseball. And so you'd run around, and you'd run around with your shirt off. And I had one chest hair. And one, so we're sitting there and he's like, dude, that thing looks disgusting. I'm like, man, I'm becoming a man. And he's like, it's gross. Get rid of that thing. It looks like a snake. I'm like, no, I'm not getting rid of it. So every day he started calling me, what's up with that snake? And there you have it.
That's the story. You know what? I've heard many different stories of why you have that name. I've never heard that one, and I'm glad you told me, man.
Yeah, man. True story.
You know what, Dave, thanks so much, and we'll see you in Las Vegas, and I can't wait to see you guys, man. It's going to be fantastic.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate your time.
As always, man, take care.
All right, buddy. Be well.
So there he is, Dave Snake Sabo from Skid Row. We're getting new stuff from them this year, and a new track going to be dropping in the days ahead, man. As soon as we got it, we'll be playing it for you as well, right here on Loaded Radio. Don't forget, check out loadedradio.com for all your hard rock and metal news constantly. It's updated 24/7. Also, the podcast drops every week for you with the biggest names in hard rock and metal. And, of course, you can't go wrong with the 24-hour radio station with all the specialty shows and everything that you could dig. Anything you want in a hard rock and metal radio station, it's a click away at loadedradio.com or via the Loaded Radio app, right? I'm Scott Penfold, though, and we will be back next week when we'll get back to some sort of normalcy, if you want to call it that, right here at the Loaded Radio podcast, with bringing in Johnny Rude and discussing the week that was in hard rock and metal and so much more. And we will talk to you then. We look forward to it. I'm Scott Penfold for Loaded Radio.
Loaded Radio.